have with us Courtney Stitch. Courtney helps online entrepreneurs scale their business with strategic Pinterest ad marketing and digital products. She is a one time teacher turned stay at home mom. She's a homeschooler and she's turned into a blogger, entrepreneur, and a CEO. And we just want to say, welcome, Courtney. How are you?
I'm so well. Thank you, Lisa, for having me. I'm so excited to be here today. So excited.
Thank you. You have such a sweet and wonderful, bubbly personality, and it's just, it just bounces off the page. So I love spending time and talking to you. So let's get
Yeah.
started. Let's get started. How were you introduced to Christ, and what was your journey?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, as a just, I guess I could start from the very beginning, right? So, I
Right.
was born into a family of faith. My parents, my grandparents, really, really strong in the faith. From the get, we were brought to church. I went to private Catholic school from first grade through 12th grade. And then I went off later in my college years. I was in another Catholic college. So, yep. So, really built into every aspect of my life. Um, but I will say that really the application and like a deeper understanding for most of it came after my kids were born, as I started to investigate on my entrepreneurial journey. I mean, I will be honest, I always was really, close in the faith in terms of like, we attended church and we did the things, like did the motions, but in terms of like my own personal journey and my own real life application of faith and Christ and really the deeper meaning to it all,
Right.
it came really when I chose to become an entrepreneur. When I listened to that call to become an entrepreneur, it was there as a teacher, because as a teacher I was like, okay, I'm being called to teach and to guide children, and that felt great. But after I had my children, and we were, gosh, we were so extremely blessed, and I'm so grateful that we were able to make the decision to and have the means to homeschool, and as well as for me to stay home. So that came first. Staying home with my kids came first. After about a year staying home with the kiddos, I got this itch. I'm like, I love this, but I'm
Right.
also called to do something else beyond. Like, I
Yeah.
really felt like, for me personally, and everybody's journey is different. For
True.
me personally, that was the call I was given. So my husband's an entrepreneur. He always has been. And it's funny, Lisa, when I first started my journey, I started as a blogger, took a bunch of courses. I love to learn as a teacher
Right.
too. Like, I love absorbing content, and I'm like, this is so great. But I never called myself an entrepreneur. It took me a while to like come into that title for
Right.
whatever reason. I guess I was always questioning myself through that first 2 years of my journey. Like, am I really an entrepreneur? Am I really a boss? Is that really me? And I had to really listen to God, to Christ, to really understand that, yes, follow that. That's who you are. That's who I'm calling you to be. So that, yeah, that is a little snapshot of my journey, my journey with Christ.
So how did you hear? How did you hear him, like audibly, or did you just know deep down inside that this is where you were supposed to be, or how did you know?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this is also took a while, because as you made mention to earlier, I'm very bubbly. I've got a lot of
Right.
energy. I'm go, go, go. Like, I will, if you were to sit with my husband for a minute, he will tell you I am constantly moving. I am constantly got things on the plate, and all the things that I love to do, but just things going. So I had to really practice and put into practice for myself time and space daily. I mean, every day, for meditation, for stopping myself. And for me personally, as an individual, that took a lot of, and still does. Like, I have to conscience when I wake up, I have to sit, sit with my journal. And I write, and again, everybody is different. This is what feels good for me. But in order for me to really lock in to my higher self, to God, to Christ, to my heart, I had to do what felt best for me. And that was just
Be still.
meditation. Yeah, be still, listen to breath. really hear it guide. And that's where he came through. That's where I heard all of it, is that quiet time. And honestly, I have 3 kids. So I'm sure if anyone listening who has kids are like, how do you even do that? And then you're homeschooling. So really, it did take some but really healthy boundaries. So like
Right.
time. So make sure I set it aside. So sometimes that meant waking up earlier. Sometimes that meant, everybody's starting on their academics and mama is going upstairs I let my children know I'm meditating, I'm praying. It's so healthy for them to know why you're taking the time and what it's for, because you want to part that knowledge onto them, right? You want them to do the same thing because it's so good. So that's what it took for me to really tune in. And it took me a while to kind of figure that piece out. Yeah, it did.
So through your homeschooling, because you got your 3 kids,
Yeah.
how do you incorporate your faith through helping them to learn and to teach?
Yes. So that's a great question. So there's two ways we do it. So the curriculum that I'm using is Christian-based curriculum. So it naturally incorporates pieces of faith, Bible, everything. Even my daughter's handwriting practice, it's quotes from the scripture that she actually like reads, and she practices her
Wow.
handwriting. Beautiful.
Okay.
It is a beautiful program. I love it. But aside from like, kind of like that in the box way,
Wow.
is I'm very much, and my husband as well, we're very, very much into traveling. So we world school. I believe in, a lot of why we chose the homeschooling path was because we love the learning without walls, and we want that freedom to show them everything, all the things, different cultures, different environments, different. So wherever we go in our travels, we always make mention to Christ, to God, who put us on this journey. We have our prayer before and after, dinner and that sort of thing. But we also make sure that wherever we are, recently been traveling up north quite a bit, back and forth, and all good. Like we all love it. But wherever we're doing, we always incorporate God and Christ in our journey with our children, so that they know that this is being guided by Christ, by God, like that it's not just happenstance, that we're taking these trips, or we're doing these learning adventures, I call them, through Christ, through God. So they are very well vested in knowing that everything is connected and has a higher purpose. We're delivering tomorrow is Saturday, right? Yeah. I'm like, days of the week, I'm like trying to catch up. It's Christmas time, so I'm like, oh my gosh, we in the Christmas season. Tomorrow we're delivering presents, gifts to our most senior community in town. So our children they're running a toy drive. So we really incorporate lots of other things in our daily curriculum, or daily just learning and our adventures, serving the community, knowing that like Christ and God are part of that drive, that is where, we're being led to help our community. We're being led to sponsor toy drives, or to sponsor any kind of food drives, or those sorts of things in the time that we've been blessed to be given, as homeschoolers. It is, it's not that we have a ton of time, you know what I mean? Like people, I think homeschooling, you've got so much time. We don't have a ton of time, but what we have for time is used in a way to help serve others as well. Because I mean, as entrepreneurs, and our kids see that too, that's our calling, is to help others through our gifts that we've been given. Yeah.
That's really good. I like that, being outside the walls, because even when you're outside the walls, even when you're giving, it's still representing Christ. And
100%.
so you can use it, it's not like you're in a structured environment. Like when you went to school, you were in Catholic school, right? So you were within those walls. So you were, in that box. So with your kids, you're not in that wall anymore. And you can show them God through nature. I know you love the water, you love the sand. So you can show them God through the environment. And then giving, that is a blessing. And it's a blessing that you're in a position where you
Yes.
can do those things and you
Yes.
can walk it out. So wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing. And they get a great uh, experience as children. And so
it
when they grow
is.
up, they're still open to that and they'll do that with their kids too. So that's
I
good.
absolutely. Yes, absolutely. We are every day we are just so grateful. We share gratitude, and that is like one of the biggest things. And as a family, we always touch base with each other, like how's homeschooling feeling? How are we doing? How is everybody? We're constantly checking in with each other and making sure that everybody is on the same page, everybody's doing well. We are very blessed that our kids are involved in other aspects. So we have a co-op of other wonderful families that we have science class through weekly. Then we also have a few other sports groups that they're in. So they have their connection with their friends. I know that's one of the biggest questions I usually get about homeschooling. They're not socialized. It's not true. It's so not true. It is way beyond. I can't keep up with their social calendar at times. So
Right.
yeah, it's if anyone who is listening is, on the fence on homeschooling, or yeah, I 125% have guided other families. So if there's anyone that needs or has questions, they can come to me for that as well. Yeah, because it's been a beautiful journey and continues to be, and we're just really grateful to be in that position.
That is good. I
Yeah.
know one time you shared a story with me about your grandparents and their faith. Do you mind
Yes.
sharing that? Because that was great.
Yeah. 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 So my grandfather. Okay. So where do I begin with this? So it doesn't take 2 hours. um, yeah. So my grandmother was, she died of breast cancer. My grandfather, my grandmother were very just, these people are just salt of the earth, like just beautiful people. And unfortunately we lost her early on. She got sick in her late 40s and we lost her at 50. So before I was even born. But my grandfather stayed true to her for until he passed. Like
Right.
but he, wow. So in his faith and in his deep, just his deep love for his family and his faith, he like took us in, and because we were growing up, we had some things happening with our family. So he took us in, he helped to raise us, he supported us, and he guided us within the Christian faith, and stayed true to what he and his wife, my grandmother, believed in terms of faith and family, and imparting that strength and that just that love for God and for life, and just yeah, without like, because I will cry, so I don't want to do that.
We can cry together.
I just want to say I don't want to cry. So yes, so he he dedicated his entire life to ensuring everybody was good. And when I had our first son, I was much younger, and he would just he would send me these little comic strips in the mail, and little pieces of just little notes, and sometimes a little money that he said he had extra laying around, which was not true.
Right.
But aside from that, he gave me this little green. Of course, my youngest son has it. My little guy, he now carries it around with him. This little green Bible, this pocket Bible,
Oh,
and
wow.
I had it forever. And then I gave it to our oldest son, and actually my youngest son took it. But so he gave me this pocket Bible, and inside of this pocket Bible, it literally, you can look up if you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling scared, and it's got a verse for every single type of emotion you might be feeling, to reference back to Christ and to God. So I would use it, especially in my teens, when I felt, just the most turmoil in terms of my own personal journey. and uncertainty in life,
Right.
probably from 17 through my early 20s. It was a really, shaky time. So I kept that with me. But lo and behold, so I gave it to our oldest son, and my youngest son was trying to find it. And I was like, it's somewhere, your brother has it. We'll find it. We'll locate it. We took one of our adventures. We're traveling. We're in Newport, Rhode Island, and
Okay.
we're walking. And I kid you not, we just had the conversation. We're walking by this statue. I have a picture. I'll send it to you. It's of a surfer. It's a huge wave statue. If anyone's ever been to Newport, Rhode Island, you know what I'm talking about. It's like this huge
Right.
wave, and it just has like these little feet sticking out as if someone had gotten caught in the wave.
Uh-huh.
And sitting at the base of this statue that I've walked by ever since I was like 14. I've been going to Newport since I was a teenager. Is that same pocket Bible, green, just sitting there? I look at my little son, like my little guy, and I'm like, look at that. And we look around and there's no one around. And I'm like, he's like, Mama, should we leave it there? What do you think? I'm like, we could, but I think it was meant to be. I'm like, we're going to take this as a sign. So we sat at the statue for a little while, for like 10 or 15 minutes, just to see if anyone came by for it or someone misplaced it. And sure enough, no one had. So he has that other
Green pocket Bible.
But if that's not God talking to you, or Christ
Yes.
talking to you,
Yes.
or my grandfather speaking to me, I don't know what is. It's incredible. And our oldest just enlisted too. So that's been a blessing. We're so grateful, but it is a parent. It's emotionally so we go back to that pocket. He has that a basic. He has the other little
The original one.
The original that's got like the yellow pages in it now. Yeah.
That's a blessing. I mean, to have something like that for your foundation from your grandfather is awesome. And I hope that he holds on to that and keeps it. 'Cause, sometimes when you join the military or whatever, stuff get lost in the transitions and stuff like that. But I hope he really, really holds on to that, because that has a whole lot of meaning and a whole lot of history. And so that's a blessing.
It is.
That's a blessing.
Crazy. I mean, out of nowhere, the same pocket Bible. There's just no explaining that. And some people would pass it off as coincidence, but I say no. There are no coincidences. There are zero coincidences in life. And I think too, if you as Christians, if we as Christians, as entrepreneurs, recognize that there are literally no coincidences, that everything is interconnected, we'll find more of those connections as we proceed through life. When we'd say, oh, it's a coincidence, that's basically us saying, whatever, I'm not putting any stock in that and dismissing it. But if we turn that, kind of reverse script that into, this is God speaking to us. This is Christ speaking to us. This was interconnected, and we move with that feeling. How empowering is that? That's just, if we look for those not coincidences every day, right? It's all aligned. It's all aligned for our movement forward. So, yeah,
That's very true.
Mm-hmm.
Well, congratulations for, one down, 2 to go. But you'll be back.
Whew, yeah, it's yeah.
It's a big change. It is a big change.
It's a big change. It's a big change. Yeah. And our kids are all different ages. So, 12 years between 2 of them. And then, so there's a range, but very blessed and grateful. But it's crazy to see the different stages, as not as grouped and one after another, but
right, big, huge,
as far apart.
So how did your faith kick in when your son decided to join the military, and you're like, my baby's leaving?
Yeah, so that's hard, and that will probably cause me to outrightly cry because it's still very fresh. So he called me, I won't forget it. And so he went to University of Alabama, graduated. He was working at a bar in Tuscaloosa, and just, taking his time after being in school since he was kindergarten. He said, Mom, I'm going to take some time. I was like, absolutely, do your thing. You know, he graduated. We're just so very proud of him and just his focus. He's a brilliant, I can't call him a boy. He's a man. Like, he's going to be 25, but I want to call him a boy still. So he's just a brilliant, fascinating soul. So we kind of knew since he was in high school, he was called to serve in the military. He kept talking to us about it. So this isn't on a whim for sure. And this, I again want to say this child, but he's not. So forgive me if I say child, but I'm going to say child because he's still
your child, your baby.
Yeah. So this child had been training on his own and getting himself physically ready for the military. I mean, I would say through college even, but like the last year and a half, 2 years. And he just recently, we're talking like May, said, okay, I've got my recruitment officer, I'm going through. And then he literally called me. It was July. He said, Mom, I signed. I said, I'm sorry, what? What just happened? There like a ceremony of preparation. I'm like, wait.
You signed what?
Like, what did you sign? What's happening right now? And I won't forget it.
It's not my own.
I'm in the truck in a parking lot with his brother and sister in the back. You know, they're much younger and they're just like, Mama, what's going on? I like had the phone on speaker because he's been in Tuscaloosa. So they miss their brother. We go down and we see him and all that. But, I was like, I said, Mama needs a minute. I got out of the car. I cried out the car. And then I was like, I'm like, I'm so not on the phone with him, of course, but my initial was just, oh, congratulations. Like this is, and I want to say proud, but like that doesn't encapsulate how my husband and I feel. But I will tell you, after getting off of the phone with him and having a nice cry and then getting back in the truck and then moving, I had to take some time to myself to comprehend everything happening and just reset back into my faith with God. So to talk to God, to talk to Christ, to sit again, silently meditating, praying, knowing that this is his path. It's been already laid out. He has been speaking about it for a long time. But then he calls me 3 days later and says, I signed on for infantry. And I said, what? Oh, and by the way, I'm going into Rangers. I'm going to be a Ranger. I'm like, what? And I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not going to react. I'm going to respond because reacting is my brain's fear getting in the way of seeing clearly, right? So when we react, it is literally a reaction. It's usually not I shouldn't say usually, but oftentimes, at least for me, it's not always, it's out of fear. And it's like this need to like fix things versus responding and knowing in faith that God is guiding this child, that God is guiding us, that this is an incredible calling and he will serve his country so well. He's brilliant. And I know God will protect him. I know God will protect him and Christ will protect him. It's just as a parent at times, So last month he went into basic. We were down in Tuscaloosa. That was hard. Even in my faith and knowing it's still, we as Christians, we have a lot of faith and we have a lot of, knowing that it's going to be good, but as humans, because we are all humans, it's challenging at times, right? In terms of just getting through, feeling your feels, right? Feeling the emotions, knowing that it's going to be okay, but also knowing that feeling the emotions is okay. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to be angry. God understands. Christ understands. Yeah. It's part of that journey. Yeah. If at the other side of that, you continue back, come full circle in faith again, which is what I kind of had to train myself with this next stepping stone with our oldest is, okay, starting from faith, then we're in this unknown period of talked about this before our interview of being uncomfortable and being, but as long as, you at the at the back end, you circle back to faith and just reset yourself, knowing that God is there, Christ is there. It is so good. Like my husband's, honestly, I am so grateful and blessed for that man in my life. He is just, we met in high school when we were in Catholic high school together. And yeah, he's an amazing soul. I can't say enough about him. He always literally says 3 words to me, and it just always with the most faith and sincerity and like knowing. And I don't know how he knows, but it's like God imparts on him to impart to me sometimes. And when I'm like, and all he says is, it's all good, or it's all going to be good. So really that's 4 words, but or it's all good. 2 words, 3 words. It's all going to be good. It's all good. This is good. It's, and I look at him and I'm like, it is. And I know it sounds so simple and so like, people say that all the time. It's different when you know, like
when you have faith,
when you know and you have faith, it really truly is good, whatever it is. And I know for many of us, you know, we've come from journeys that were more than bumpy, more than our fair share of what, you know, what has been asked of us to hold on to. But if you just hold on to that knowing, like just this deep sense of knowing, after this, you know, this bump, I know it's still good. It's still good. It's still good. It's still, so just, that's kind of our journey with our son. He's still at basic. He comes home for Christmas next week.
Okay,
so
well, that's good.
We're excited.
Has he got his duty station yet?
He's did you say, has he been stationed yet? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
His duty station, his assignment for where
no, so he's at Fort Moore, which was Fort Benning in Georgia.
Right.
And he goes through basic, and then he graduates basic in February. Then he stays in Fort Moore. It's a huge base. It's a huge Army base, one of the largest in the country, I believe. And so he'll stay there for all of his training, and he'll be in training for a while before he gets his assignment.
He'll be fine. I did the whole Air Force thing, so.
You did. You know.
He'll be fine. At least there's going on right now, so hopefully, you know, everything will be. God has got it.
God has got it. I might be coming to you for some advice. I know.
All the advice you've given me for the whole year over Pinterest, I owe you.
No, but he's, you know, he's good. I am not concerned at all about his physical safety. I know this sounds crazy, but his physical safety is, I know he's going to be so good. I get concerned about just, you know, the next. So what's the next? So I mean, I don't go that far in terms of like being concerned for his physical. He is
great,
more than ready for this, physically, mentally. Like he is so ready. I have so much faith in that. It's the unknown that I get. I know, again, it sounds strange, but it's just like, okay, so what is, you know, I'm a planner, so I have like, and the military doesn't normally like have you like, you know, I mean, the military is a military, but it's like, surprise.
Well,
like
you're not in control. God is in control. So the next step is on him.
It's God.
He doesn't show us the whole big picture. He gives us usually one step at a time, and you just have to walk in faith. And
correct.
I know everything will turn out fine, and he'll be great. And you have set a foundation in him with Christ. And so, you know, even if he strays a little bit or does whatever he's going to do, you know, he'll be back because you put that foundation in him. And it's going to be a wonderful journey. It's always good to sit back and watch your kids and be like, wow, you know what? They came out to be a great adult. They're productive.
Yes.
It's always good.
It's so good to watch. It is. And it's, again, because I have so much faith that like he's going to be good. It's just, and again, I have to, you know, need to extend that into knowing like the next step is still going to be good. The unknown is okay. The unknown with him.
Okay.
It's so funny because as an entrepreneur, I'm like, the unknown, it's fine. Everything's, but when it comes to your kids, it's like a different situations. You have to
Yes.
apply through everything, right? So you have like yourself as a parent, perhaps as a spouse, as a friend, as a sister, brother. You have yourself as, all of these roles. So to take your faith, you need, it's like got to drip over, spill over into these categories of life, right? And it's tricky. I mean, you see, like with our oldest, I'm like, like, still like, whoo. But it's so wonderful to see them, It's like this, you see all of their first as a parent, and he would call me from college and say, "Mom, I gotta go. I'm going to Sunday church. It starts soon." And I'm like, he's at college and he's going to Sunday mass. Like, so for him, I mean, really, like, I was like, okay, like, and as a Christian, sometimes, we don't always make it to church. So that the fact that he's finding time and recognizing that helps him and helps his own journey and his growth as a person, I just couldn't have been more happy to know that he found solace, there. And I'm sure he does even now at basic, but it's tricky, different situations. But as we move through life, it's just important to recognize that we talked about it again, coming full circle. We talked about before we hit record, like with growth, there's uncomfortable, right? Growth comes in uncomfortable situations. And some of them you're like, really, this is more than uncomfortable. Like, this is almost unbearable. How am I going to like move through this? But it's that undying faith, that blind faith, that seed in the ground before you know what it's going to turn into, just knowing it's going to come out and bloom. It's that whole piece.
And God's got it.
And God's got it.
Courtney, this has been wonderful. It has been great.
So good. Thank you. So wonderful.
Yes. Do you have any like last pieces of advice, either as, even with being an entrepreneur and having faith in your business, or, even with your kids and having faith in their journey and stuff like that. So.
Absolutely. So as an entrepreneur, I would say give yourself grace. Oh, give yourself so much grace. It's the entrepreneurial journey. It's amazingly messy. It's amazing. And it's amazingly, how do I say? It's amazingly messy, at the same time, amazingly like
rewarding.
Surreal. Yeah. It's just so, it's one of the best decisions I have ever made. And there are days, just like you can really associate it with parenting. I mean, really, like, it is the most overwhelmingly like satisfying growth process you will ever have. It really is, because for all of that uncomfortable frustration at times, and you're like, I'm spinning my tires and I'm just not moving quite yet. And where there comes a point where, as an entrepreneur, I can tell you that you just have to stop your motion, whether it's in your head, whether it's physically. Sometimes not doing is the doing as an entrepreneur, because that's when you connect back to your faith and why you started to begin with. Get back to where you started, and God will take it from there. We often get mucked up with the seemingly endless to-dos, and we forget the joy of it all.
That is true.
So, I think, Tony Robbins always said, you get in your head, you're dead. And that's just it. Go back to the heart, to God, because God is here. God is not like necessarily here. We have a lot of I said at the beginning, our brains are beautiful things. I love our human brain, but man, does it muck things up at times. It really gets in our way. So whether it's prayer, journaling, you have a journal, I know, Lisa, um, meditative practice, find your thing, find what feels good. 5 minutes. Literally, my meditation is not hours to fix
Right.
things. I'm not looking to fix anything. I'm looking to reset.
Yeah.
So the mindset is behind doing any of those, kind of connections with God
Mhm.
is not to fix. It's to just get back to who you really are, who God made you to be,
True.
versus all the other things, because it doesn't
And
matter.
I just wrote a blog about, don't focus so much on the gift or get so busy with the gift that he's given you. Focus on the gift giver, which is God.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
sometimes when God gives us all these ideas and all these grand things that we want to do, we get so busy, run, 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 run. And we're doing all the things that he's called us to do, but then we disconnect from the
Yep.
source. And so you got to stay connected to the source. And
Stay connected. Yeah. It's not always in the doing. God,
right,
God wants us, to take actions, but it's not always in like the physical doing. It's
right.
it's it's oftentimes just coming back so that you can hear more clearly about that next step. I'm not saying don't take action as an entrepreneur. Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. But
Right.
you can get very caught up in like, well, I should be doing this, and she's doing this, and this entrepreneur in my niche is doing this, and I haven't done, nope, that's not, you are not those people. That's not who God made you to be. God has you on a path for you,
Yes.
and all of your clients or customers, and they will come for you, not for whoever else you're looking at or whatever else you didn't get done. If
Right.
your font is too big, your true followers and your clients aren't going to care. It doesn't matter.
That's
Get off
true.
of Canva, like just do it. Just get it out there. Right? Doesn't have to be
That's
perfect.
true.
Just got to be done. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, people want you. They don't want anything else. So remain true to you, knowing that the doing, it's not always found in the doing.
Right.
Um, and um, and just connect back in with one of the ways that we've talked about today, or perhaps your listeners have other ways they connect in and they can share those ways as well. um, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you
Welcome.
so much. Do you have a freebie?
I do. Of course I do. I have a freebie. So for anyone who's looking for, assistance within Pinterest and getting that website traffic, if you're an online entrepreneur, which I think many of us are, and you're looking for qualified free leads and traffic to your website via Pinterest, I have a cheat sheet that is on my website at seasidecreatives.com. They can access it right there, download it, and let me know if you have any questions. I'm here to support.
Thank you, Courtney.
You're
We
welcome.
appreciate you. All
Thank you.
right. You're welcome.